So this motherfucker takes the stress of being unemployed and looking for a job to whole new levels. Apartment 413 is brought to us by director Matt Patterson and stars Nicholas Sands and Bree Grant. We follow Marco, played by Nicholas Sands, a recently unemployed 20-something with a baby on the way who is desperately looking for a job. Marco has fallen into a bit of a funk. He's having a real hard time getting motivated, like he keeps oversleeping and not going to job interviews and just not doing everything he needs to do to get employed. And even though Dana, played by Bree Grant, his girlfriend and mother of his soon-to-be child, is supportive overall, you can tell that this is starting to get to her as well. And as Marco falls further and further down this hole of unmotivation and depression, things start to get a little bit weird. Someone keeps leaving strange notes around his apartment taunting him. He finds an old cell phone that he keeps getting weird texts and calls from. And it would appear that someone is just overall kind of fucking with the guy. Like he'll clean up the whole entire apartment and then someone will come through and just mess everything up right after he did it. This is really screwing with Marco's psyche, and he starts to go off the deep end a bit, and as the movie goes on, we're not really sure what is and what is not reality. So Apartment 413 is an interesting little movie that is a bit difficult to talk about without spoiling anything. I will try though. It plays out a lot like a stage play. About 99% of this thing takes place in one place with two characters. And for the vast majority of the movie, we witness Marco just slowly go down this spiral of insanity. The question is, who is doing this to him? Is it some outside force? Are there these people that truly are just messing with him, or is it just all in his head? There are things throughout the film that point in both directions. We're never really fully sure which one it is until, of course, the end. And while it sounds like this could be a bit boring, it's not. This is done very well. I really enjoyed seeing Marco just going through his life and just slowly becoming crazy and trying to figure out what the hell is going on. As soon as this shtick would start to get a little bit old, they would introduce something new into the mix to keep it interesting. And when we get to the end of the film, I really like what they did here. Now, there were certain aspects of the end of the film that I had already kind of guessed. I figured this would at least be somewhat part of what was going on, but there were other parts of it that I just never saw coming. And the inevitable end of the film I definitely never saw coming, and it was very satisfying. Now, this movie by nature is a slow burn, so it's not gonna be for everybody. We are essentially following this guy around his apartment for a few days as he just kind of loses grip on everything. So if slow burns aren't your thing, then this probably isn't going to be one for you. However, if you are someone who is into those single location character dramas, you're going to find something to like here, I think. While the movie is primarily a psychological thriller, it does blend genres a little bit and throw a bit of horror in there as well. Not so much in the traditional sense, but the way that the movie's made, the way it's presented, there are definitely some horror themes there. Overall, from a narrative perspective, this was an entertaining, satisfying little story that I really had a good time with. Now, from a performance standpoint, there's really only two performers in the movie for the most part. Everybody does a pretty good job here. Now, this is an indie film, and the performances, while not like Oscar caliber, they are solid. Sands and Grant as Marco and Dana both do an admirable job. There's maybe one or two times that Sands goes a little bit over the top with his paranoia in the film, but overall, I was very pleased with everybody's performance here. The movie overall has a good look as well. It's nothing like earth-shattering. It's not like Dune 2021 or anything, but it does look good. There are some interesting camera angles, and the way that they move the camera about and things show up in the background here or there is pretty neat. They do make fairly creative use of the camera work here. Now, I know I've been kind of vague in this review and haven't said as much as some people might like, but it's kind of difficult to talk about this movie in much detail without ruining it. And I definitely don't want to do that, because that was part of the fun of the film, trying to figure out what's going on. What's real, what's not, why is someone doing this to him, or why is he imagining all of this? What's really going on? And I just don't want to ruin any of that for those of you that would want to watch this movie. Guys, Apartment 13 was an interesting little film that I had a pretty good time with. It is a slow burn, which won't be for everybody, but it did have an interesting little story with some fairly solid performances that kept me invested the entire time. It was overall a pretty satisfying watch, and while it may not be worth going out to see right away, it is absolutely worth checking out on streaming.
Across the street.
like this movie. I didn't love it, but it was a really entertaining ride for the evening. So if you're looking for something that's gonna get your gears turning and is a bit of a thriller for the evening, then check out Apartment 413, and I think you'll have a pretty interesting time with it. So there it is, guys, my review of Apartment 413. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon in the description below and become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits to go along with that, like these guys. And possibly join my top tier and become a bad motherfucker like my man Greg. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Austin.
I got another one of your notes. And I don't get into my apartment without my permission.
So I mentioned that one of the things that happens to Marco is that he'll like clean the whole apartment, and then before he gets done, he'll turn around and it's all messed up again. And quite honestly, I think that was just fate letting him know what's to come, because he's got a kid on the way, and when you got kids, that's just how it is. You like clean the whole house, and then you look back to where you started and they've already fucked it all up. So get used to it, buddy, because that's what's coming.